Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. By veterans, for veterans. Guest hosts tonight are author Greg Meekin and Miss Val, our military radio gal. Continue Mission starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, 'cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. Got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back 'cause baby, you're the...
Welcome to another rapid deployment of Continue Mission on the Veteran Channel. Today is March 7th, 2026, and this show is coming to you from the great state of Arizona. I'm Val Olson, and I am here once again at my kitchen table with the one, the only Greg Meekin. For almost a decade, Continue Mission has been produced by veterans for veterans. So let's light the fuse. Buckle up, everyone. Greg Meekin, what is on your heart today?
Val Olson, Miss Val, our military radio gal. Boy, what's on my heart? It's a nice Saturday. It's a rare Saturday broadcast. So we're just going to kick back, relax. What's on my heart, though, are two words: authenticity and humility. We've had broadcasts in the past where authenticity, the word authentic, authenticity is the most powerful human connector. Thousands of times more powerful than love. So authenticity, and the small world thing is the folks we've been surrounded with, Val, you and I, in the past 4 years of broadcasting. These are the most authentic people I've ever seen in my life. We can start with the Sheriff Mark Lambs, go to the Captain James McCormicks, and run from there. And the person we have on as our special guest, our secret guest today, is one of those authentic guys. The second thing on my heart was humility. Because the one common denominator I see of really successful men and women, the top of their field, millionaires, billionaires, generals, people at the top of their field, for some reason, they are the most humble folks I've also ever met. For some reason, maybe there's a correlation between success and humility. But the humility seems to come from a lifetime of trials and tribulations, getting beat up in life. Everybody I know has had hardships, ups and downs and stuff. But humility seems to be and everybody that sits at this echelon, and you'll see this with our guest coming up. There's a humility, honestly. And when we had Rocky Blyer on, 4-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Fame, Purple Heart Vietnam veteran. And Rocky is the most humble guy I've ever met. I'm saying, I watched you in the 1970s on TV. Most humble man you've ever met. So those two things are on my mind, and I cannot wait to bring our guest on today, our secret guest. He's a gentleman named Tom Burke. Tom Burke. He is the national president of the Vietnam Veterans of America. You'll be hearing a lot about Vietnam Veterans of America, VVA, during the course of this show. But I do want to, Val, if I can, I do want to definitely keep this show, especially the first segment or so, just real down to earth, real personal. I definitely want to get to know Tom better, and I want the public to know Tom better than maybe even we see on the screen. Tom's one of the most public guys I've ever seen. He testified before Senate and Congress last week. It was the 26th of February. But I definitely want to chat a little personally and get to know him, his background, etc. As I told Rocky Blyer, the most fun thing about doing radio to me is show prep and the research, because you learn things about people you never knew. And in this case, the world got so small with my pre-show conversation with Tom Burke. It got so small. I just was astonished with how much we had in common denominators. So, if anything, I wanted to give you a quick second before I introduce Tom. Give you a quick second here, Val Olson. We've been broadcasting for 4 years. Been there, done that, having fun. But just say a good morning to everybody. Take a minute or so. I'll let people know who you are, and then back to me, and I'll introduce Tom.
Well, it's an honor to join you, and we want to welcome all of our vets. There are many that are watching on the Veteran Channel. So if you haven't downloaded the Veteran Channel, easy to find on Roku, Apple, Prime, and Amazon Fire as well. Don't forget Greg Meekin's YouTube and Facebook pages and dozens of other platforms. And we are actively recruiting here at the Veteran Channel. It takes all generations to be at the table and to have a say. And I love what you shared this morning on authenticity and humility. And I believe that authenticity is the currency. It's the true, real currency. And it's true. We have been surrounded by some amazing people that have inspired me personally in my broadcast journey. I've been here at the microphone for over 25 years. And when I left mainstream media to come here and do this, it was the best decision of my life. There is nowhere else I would rather be than to be here. And I want to recruit our vets because we need each and every one of you. We do not believe in retiring other than just long enough to get a new set of tires on and then actively get right back at it, because we need you. Our generation desperately needs the mentorship, and there's just so much that goes with that. So we love our vets and we care deeply. We're thrilled you're here. Our law enforcement as well. We're all friends in this community. So welcome. And Greg, I'm going to pass that microphone back to you.
That's so nice to hear. We are one group, one family, one wolf pack. Yes. One wolf pack. I'm going to introduce Tom Burke. I'm going to be a little tiny blabby here because we had so much conversation behind the scenes. I'll be, of course, asking him just who he is, his background, his family and stuff. We'll put, again, another segment a little bit further down the road to talk Vietnam veteran stuff. But what I learned about Tom only in the last 24 hours, I learned that he worked for Canadian National Railway. It's called CNR.
Yes.
Yeah. And for like 37 years. And I'm saying, wait a minute, Tom. I was like married to CNR in Montreal. Montreal was the home base and isn't the national headquarters of CN Rail. And a dear friend of mine, whose dad was an accountant, a way up there financial accountant for CN. And I was in Dorval. We were right beside the train station. I've taken 100 trains over the years. But I remember Ken Gatehouse, accountant for CN Railway. I remember his son was telling me, last night, Dad was doing accounting, and there was so much money at CNR. What he would do is he would transfer millions and millions of dollars, overnight transfer, to get that APR yield on the money till the next morning. I'm going, wow, small world. So I've definitely Tom chit-chat a little bit about CN. 37 years. He was a marketing guy. And also, I didn't know that Tom had spent a lot of time in Montreal, and that Tom played hockey for a couple of years in Minnesota. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I won't belabor it more. It's been fun. I do want to chit-chat, of course, with Tom personally, but I'm going to bring you on the show here. Welcome to Continue Mission, Tom Burke. Say hello to everybody.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Greg. It's a great pleasure.
It's so nice to hear. Wasn't that funny to have that conversation where we do have so many, most humans I know have commonalities and things in common. Give folks, take a couple of minutes here, Tom. Take a couple of minutes, 3-4 minutes, and just let folks know who you are. Not the full blown bio. You've got a beautiful, beautiful resume and stuff, but just who you are, family, where you're living and stuff. Get people caught up a little bit on that, because there are a lot of viewers and listeners that have not heard from you or seen you. Go ahead.
Well, I originally from Minnesota. Grew up in a little town in those days called Stillwater, and went to Stillwater High School. I had played sports, obviously, as you found out. Did a little hockey. I tried out for football, but the coach said I needed to find another endeavor because I would get killed. So I did track, and I did cross country. Excuse me. And I graduated from high school in 1963, and that was just before the beginning of Vietnam. But to kind of go back, I actually went to work when I was about 12 years old. My dad and my mom, they were working. They both worked the whole time that I was growing up. Then I had 3 other brothers, and all of which served. And my dad was not able to serve because he had polio when he was a youngster, and spent a couple of years in an iron lung. But he worked. Strangely enough, he also was in a career path of transportation and logistics, which coincidentally is what I wound up doing. I went to a place called the St. Paul Technical Institute and graduated from there. And then I went to the Chicago College of Advanced Traffic and graduated from there, and wound up getting a job with the Canadian National in Minneapolis. And at the time, I was secretary, clerk, whatever you want to call it. And it was what they called an offline office. And I worked for 4 other guys. And then I eventually became chief clerk. And I moved from chief clerk to Flint, Michigan, where I was on the street as a sales and marketing guy. And we went, the wife and I moved 16 times in my career. And we went to all kinds of places, including Montreal. And we visited almost every province in Canada because of the work I did with CN. I actually worked for the CN's subsidiary in the U.S., which was called the Grand Trunk Western. And when I first started, there was 106,000 employees on the CN. The U.S. subsidiary obviously was smaller, but we ran from Port Huron, Michigan to Chicago. And then we had the DWP, Duluth, Winnipeg, and Pacific, which was part of the organization as well. And then later on in the career, CN bought the ICG and a couple other railroads, and they now go into the south of the U.S., New Orleans, down that way. And they've had quite a success. The company is still roaring along. And I did, funny story, as I was on the Grand Trunk, I had a scrap shipper who thought he was doing a good turn for the railroad, and he wrote on his gondola cars that he was shipping scrap on. It said, "Ship your junk in the Grand Trunk." And my leader at the time about had a heart attack when he saw that going by the window. But I thought it was funny, and it was a great thing. And working for the railroad, I had a great career. I enjoyed it. And 37 years later, 38 years later, I left the railroad, went to work for a truck line, and made it to vice president of their company in about 6 months, and went on to work in the trucking industry, and left there after about 4 years, and so-called retired. In the meantime, I got interested, or somewhere along the line, I got interested in veterans issues, and went from joined the VBA in year 2000. I was active in veterans issues in '96 onward. Excuse me, but I joined VBA in the year 2000, and went on from there. And I've served in just about every committee on VBA, either as a chairman or as a member of the committee. I started out as a chapter president, moved from a chapter president to state, and became the state president for 8 years. And I was, in that time frame, I was also working at the national level in different committees and other assignments. And I moved up, I ran for national office in, don't remember the exact year, but I ran for regional director and was elected. And then I ran later on for vice president. I was vice president for 6 years, and I was elected national president in last August. So that's kind of a capsule view of my career. I enjoyed it. I had a great time, and we went on from there.
Just fascinating career, and just once you did start with VVA and the veterans, that's an episode unto itself, which we'll be talking about pretty quick. I wanted to touch base. This is a little bit personal on my end. You had mentioned when you worked for CN, you were a sales and marketing guy. You were a marketing guy. A little personal. You said you spent time in Montreal.
I did.
And as well as other Canadian cities.
Yep.
Can you give me, just recollect real quick, just your time in Montreal, what you remember of that, how many times you were there, and maybe a few of the other cities? Because that was fascinating to me, Tom.
Well, I was, when I actually went to start going into Canada, I had gotten promoted to a marketing manager in Detroit, which was the Grand Trunk headquarters. And I was in charge of pulp and paper, which was about a $38 million segment of the CN at that time. We were coordinating with CN for U.S. shipments going into Canada and coming out of. And I went to Montreal many times within my career path. Also, I was in Toronto. I was up in out west, and I really went to just about every province in Canada under my auspices with the CN. I remember going to Rivière-du-Loup, and I got off the plane, and it said, "You've reached the southernmost northern point before you get to the Arctic Circle."
Yeah.
And It was cold.
Oh, northern Quebec.
I went up there in January, and I had the manager of the pulp and paper plant. I walked into his office and he said, "Thomas, you come to see me in the middle of winter? Are you crazy?"
Boy, we can do this Quebec accents all day long, Monsieur Tom. We can do that stuff. Question. Okay, here's a broad question. We've talked about this a lot on our program because we deal kind of half with Canadians and half with Americans.
Yeah.
Here, that's actually my brand, Dueling Citizen. I have a question. This is kind of out of the blue. Do you find Canadians different than Americans? Especially kind of to work with, especially on from a business standpoint? Is that a label, a broad brush, or do you find them different? Seriously?
No, well, the Canadians are I think a different breed from Americans, but they have a work ethic that is really a proud thing for them. I used to, when I went to Montreal, I always hooked up with the sales and marketing guys and the bosses up there and so on and so forth. But we had a great relationship with the Canadians. They would sometimes come into the States, not too often, but I found them to be pleasant. I found them to be workaholics in some cases. They were a friendly group, but they had their own special quirks. I think they, the A and that kind of thing that we had to get used to. But in some cases in Montreal, you had obviously French-speaking people, and sometimes there was some animosity between an American in Montreal and the French-speaking portion of Montreal. But most of the folks were kind and gentle with me. And I had learned enough French to greet and that kind of thing during my stints in Montreal and elsewhere. Yeah, we had. I really enjoyed it. It was great fun. I made some great friends, and it was something that I would never change. I had opportunity to work with a lot of great people in Montreal, and I also went to Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver. I mean, I had the opportunity to go all over Canada, and they were, again, everywhere I went, they were very kind and very welcoming, and I find that that's a fond memory for me. Most of the guys that I worked with during that time have left the company, and it's a whole different organization. But I have very fond memories of working with the guys in Canada.
You mentioned the maybe a little bit of, I'll just call it an attitude in Quebec and Montreal. Some of the French folks, Americans. There's an element of that. What I just wanted to add in there, because you perked my ears. It's interesting. A lot of folks in Canada, especially Quebec, there's almost a love-hate relationship with the U.S. a little bit. It's interesting. There is an element of that attitude that you're mentioning. It's standoffish. It's mainly
it's more prevalent going east when you're in like Quebec City,
right?
Or you get further away from Montreal going east. It gets a little tacky sometimes.
But the interesting thing is, here's my secret of the day from a marketing standpoint, Tom. Again, especially the French Canadian, like your folks in Quebec and stuff, they're very standoffish towards the United States. However, I remember when I did marketing and stuff back in the day, I discovered the number one consumer per capita of American brand name products at the time, like Budweiser beer, Alpo, dog food, etc., were French Canadians. It was interesting. So kind of a little love-hate thing there a little bit. Before I go on and before I forget too, one little thing that's not on your bio is you sold cars. You were in the car business for 2 years. Okay, I'm into secrets from the inside. So nobody, I'll bet you nobody you work with knows that. But briefly, tell me about that experience and what the car business actually taught you. Does it apply to basically your life today from a management or outlook standpoint?
Well, I got into the car business really by chance. I had left the railroad, and I was in between jobs, and so I was looking around, and something came up, and I was able to go to a car dealership, and with the background I had, they hired me right on the spot. But I went through some training, I think about 3-4 weeks of training before they let me out on the floor. And I usually was fairly fortunate. I was able to sell somewhere between 8-10 cars a month, which was pretty good in those days. Yeah. And I was able to get a takeaway. What I got from the car business is you really are an entrepreneur because you are dependent on yourself. You're nobody else sells the cars but you.
That's right.
And if you are really the thing that comes to you is that it is really an entrepreneurship unto yourself, because if you don't produce, you don't eat.
That's right. That's right.
That was a real wake-up call, because prior to that I had worked in corporations and small companies and so on and so forth. But you really get to realize that, hey, this is really on me, and if I don't produce, my family doesn't eat. And it was I was there. The one thing I learned also was you put in a lot of hours.
Oh yeah,
Lots of hours. And I'm going to say I probably put in 70, 80 hours a week.
Absolutely.
And it was, but it was also, it was a life lesson, because you dealt with so many different personalities,
right,
so many different people, different races, different backgrounds, all that kind of stuff. And you had to be a person who was amenable to all those different personalities.
That's right.
And it was a lesson in learning humanity, to be honest with you. It was something. I mean, when I left there, I appreciated the time I had in car sales, because it taught me a lot. And just a quick story about the Canadian side. This will be interesting to you, because my ancient family came from France, and we had the original spelling of my name that I have on my dad's graduation certificate was Bourque.
Burke.
Yes.
That's Quebec as the day is long. Ray Bourque, famous hockey player. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my dad and his family moved to Quebec City, and my dad and his brothers, they lived in Quebec City for some time, and then when my dad was old enough, he moved his family to Minnesota, and he changed the spelling of our name to Burke, and basically Americanized it. But that's the coincidences in this is unreal.
Boy, to hear your original name was Burke, I mean, that's as French Canadian as the day is long. I knew lots of Bourques in Quebec. Okay, we are here for the Vietnam Veterans of America. We're here for veterans. In our world, Tom, and yours, veterans include, of course, military guys, military veterans, enlisted. On our end in Arizona, it includes law enforcement, first responders,
Yep.
our border guys. All hopefully the collective mission working towards a common goal. Go ahead. Let's talk veterans. Let's talk Vietnam Veterans of America. You testified. You testified before Senate and Congressional Committee on the 26th of
Yeah.
February.
I was asking, or I should say, at the time I was talking to the committee, and I told them that, and I don't think anybody else mentioned it. I told them that the Vietnam Veterans of America, their one of their sacred duties in our estimation was the full accounting for POWs, MIAs, and that I believe in my own history has been lost by other VSOs because I believe we are the only ones that have said that our motto, "Never again shall one generation of veterans abandon another," is actually to us is a sacred oath, and we have gotten to a point where I think that the POW MIA issue, it has been reduced in importance by some other VSOs. This has been our call to battle since our beginning, and our accounting for POW AMAs is strictly on our watch, or so we think. And we have sent crews back to Vietnam year after year after year to look for the remains of our guys. And it works well because it's veteran to veteran. We have contacted the Vietnamese, and they're our former enemies, and they have welcomed us with open arms. We have provided to them information about places where mass graves were dug and the Vietnamese were buried. Likewise, the Vietnamese have given us information about where our aircraft went down, where major battles took place, that people were buried. And over the years, it has really worked in terms of recoveries of individuals that we have been looking for. We have looked at the operation with the Vietnamese as a great success because we have less than now about round numbers, about 1,500 MIAs that have not been recovered. And we believe that probably 600 of them were lost at sea, and we probably will not recover any of them. But the hope is that we will continue to recover remains that we can bring back to DPAA, and that they can identify them, and families will finally have closure to what happened to their loved ones. We have also pitched to, during my testimony, I pitched to the Congress that we should fully fund DPAA. Money has been taken away from them in their mission, and we think that is completely wrong. We can't recover our fellow veterans. Never again will we let them be abandoned. And we have looked at that as a again, I said a sacred oath. We believe that, and we want the DPAA to be fully funded. So we've asked Congress to consider giving DPAA $250 million to so that they can bring their staff back to full power. They can set up their missions to Vietnam and elsewhere in the world where they're looking for veterans to recover. And we just think it's the right thing to do.
Where does it? You have a deep mission to recover these MIA guys.
Yes.
You're working on it daily, as you and your colleagues working on it daily, obviously, to try and get funding and find them. Just at the top of your head, I know you mentioned some numbers. How many total people right now in America? How many total families in America right now are waiting for MIA or potential KIA folks? Just a broad number.
The number is right around 1560. 1,560.
Okay. That's a lot of souls. That's a lot of souls to get closure to. Are most of these folks, are they mostly Vietnam folks, or are they World War II guys?
They're most of, I mean, the ones we look for are mostly Vietnam guys because that's where we go. But
Right.
there is, as you probably know, there is a mission that DPAA follows all over the world. They're still recovering guys from World War II, from Okinawa.
Right.
They go to the Philippines. They go to Japan. I mean, they're all over the world, and they have teams that are continuously going out looking for recoveries that they can come with. We had an occasion. I wasn't involved personally, but I did hear about a recent mission that went to Vietnam that some senior person that they were one of the jet pilots had landed, and they found, amazingly, the story goes that they found the jet intact, and the pilot was in the seat.
Wow.
And they recovered the complete aircraft. They recovered the pilot and the co-pilot, and brought them home. This because they have had this relationship with the Vietnamese, and they actually go out into the field and to recover, obviously. But they go to the villages, they go to into the jungle. I mean, these guys they're wonderful, and they go all over the place. And DPAA goes all over the world, still looking for recoveries from World War II and all the other wars and conflicts we've been involved in. It's absolutely amazing what they do.
Has there been a resurgence in this find MIA mission in the last few years? Or because I know it's always been around, but I know you guys are directly influencing it now. But what are your thoughts there?
Well, the money that has been distributed by Congress has been reduced, so the mission itself has gone down somewhat, and the missions back to Vietnam or wherever DPAA chooses to go have been reduced because the money is not available. That's why we're pushing Congress to fully fund DPAA to get out and do their job, because it's a terrific situation that they find themselves in, trying to recover remains of people. I mean, they go out, when they go in a jungle, they go into digs, and they physically shovel the dirt into screens to find remains of individuals. Something as small as a tooth or a bone, a fragmented bone. With our knowledge today, they're able to identify individuals with something as little as a bone, as a tooth, which is unbelievable.
The Vietnam Veterans of America are leading the charge on this and other issues. Take as long as you need here. Okay. Tell us about the organization, Vietnam Veterans of America. By the way, folks, we have Tom Burke, who is the national president of the Vietnam Veterans of America. That's VVA.org. Take as long as you need here, Tom. I listened to your testimony, and I've heard, lots, obviously, in the past few years. Go ahead, talk about your organization and also how people can get involved and support you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Greg. We are an organization that was created in 1981. There was, prior to that time, when we came back from, when the boys came back from Vietnam, we, as you know, this story goes that we had nothing, we got nothing. Our GI Bill back in those days were terrible. The pressures of trying to return to a country that had no support. We came back to a country that didn't want us, really. And we had no support. We had nothing. I mean, I know people that have, that returned, that didn't even admit they were in the service for 8 or 9 years after they came back, which was unbelievable. When I came back, I came back to North Island, which is San Diego, and we came off the base, and there were protesters all over the place. We had no idea what was going on because we hadn't been around. So anything that happened, I mean, I walked off the base, my uniform got spit on. I'm going. I didn't know whether to beat the guy up or walk away. Well, I chose to walk away. But we came back to a country that really was angry with us because they made the mistake of thinking that the warrior was the war and the war was the warrior, which is as far from the truth as you can imagine. But to go back to 1981, we had our initial group of Vietnam veterans that came from New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, and some from Illinois. And they gathered in Washington, D.C. And in 4 days of meetings, they put this entire organization together. Constitution, way to get elected, the whole ball of wax. And it was there that Vietnam Veterans of America was born, and they were born out of necessity because we got nothing from Congress when we came back. We had people with TBI. We had people with diseases that they came back with, and nobody knew what they were. And we actually had nothing coming that we had from the VA initially. We had to go to the government and we had to demand all the things that we have gotten over the years. We have become an organization known very well on the Hill. We have become a nation that has realized that the public made a mistake when they decided that the warrior was the war. And they've, over time, have realized that what we went through, nobody else should. We don't believe that, and that's why our motto, never again. We believe in that, and we have helped Gulf War. We have helped Afghan and Iraq vets through our VSO program. We have established, well, I can go with the organization when it came together. We established like 22 different committees that addressed many of the things that we thought we needed in those days, and we continue to support today. Our organization now is at 96,000 members from all over the country. We have 9 regions, and we have 632 chapters, and we have state councils in every state in the union. We come together for conventions every 2 years. And in the off years, we have a leadership conference where we train our leaders, and we have programs that provide information about the different committees that we have. Agent Orange being one that you see on the screen. We also have one for suicide prevention. As you see, POWMIA, we have all kinds of different committees, even one for, as Dominic probably told you if he was on your program, about prisoners that are or veterans that are incarcerated. And we have a program for that. So we have been a force within the country for the last 50 years. And we have done innumerable good, in my estimation, for the veterans in this country. Not only Vietnam veterans, but we also represent veterans of every race, every color, every creed. And we have no problem helping them with their claims. One of the things that I think that we should, or I should say something about, is the suicide rate among veterans. Over 500,000 Vietnam veterans are alive today in the USA. There are another about 6.2 million that are around the world. They have some came back, some didn't. But it's funny, after a half a century since the war took place, for many of our veterans, whether they be Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever, they come back with silent pain. They come back with traumatic brain injuries. They come back with catastrophic pain. And as the war, even though the war is gone and the years have gone by, the pain remains. And the trauma that they feel is real. People really don't understand that the silence of battle remains in the people who are on the front lines, no matter how long it is. Some veterans, the trauma, well, all veterans, the trauma is real. And the struggle is within themselves. They struggle, sometimes some struggle well, and others just struggle. And the VA will tell you that the Vietnam veteran, and it shudders me to say this, but the Vietnam veteran is the most likely to die at their own hand. And I have a personal situation that I went through. I had a very, very close friend of mine that committed suicide, and he hung himself. and he left a family, 3 kids and a wife, and he was troubled, obviously. And I probably blame myself because I didn't see it coming.
Mm.
But as the years have gone on, I've come to realize that if someone decides to take their own life, there's not a whole lot that you can do unless you're aware that you can get them help. And the help is real. The help is at the VA. Individuals can help their folks if they see signs like somebody says, my family can do without me, they'd be much better without me around. That's a red flag to tell you that somebody is contemplating taking their own life. And I would urge everyone who is listening that we take that as seriously as someone that has a heart attack, and you get help for them, because it can happen at the snap of a finger. And I know this guy, after he was gone, we found in his home, he had practiced, if you can believe this, he had practiced how to put together a hangman's noose. And we found letters that my family will be much better without me. And I can't get rid of the demons. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it has the problem of nobody understanding or seeing the red flags before the person actually decides to do the deed. And it's terrible. I mean, it's catastrophic to the families. And nobody, and I can tell you, nobody, if he's a veteran, is better off leaving their family and leaving their children without them. It's an absolute crisis in this country. We have
Tom?
Yes, we have veterans killing themselves all the time.
Tom, this is so catastrophic, this suicide rate. We talk about it on virtually every show. The numbers I'm hearing either 22, and I've heard a number up to 26 per day. My question to you that really concerns my heart, between education, because this is what I'm hearing, is education, including educating on the warning signs, and taking the veteran by the hand or having a hand available. Can we get this number down? 1 is too many. And to think it's over 20, can we move the bar down, Tom?
I think it's possible if people will take this seriously. Most people do not understand or are not cognizant of the number of deaths that take place with veterans, regardless of time. Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, you name it. There are deaths of veterans every single day.
Yeah.
You mentioned 20. 20 is the number I've heard, 20 a day. And if you multiply that times how many veterans have served, it's a lot of people. I do believe that we need to educate the general public on the signs of what is the signs that you have to look for.
Right.
And what do you do when you see those signs? And the easiest thing is to call up your medical person and get that guy or lady to a hospital. I know the VA has, as most of you know, have a crisis line, and the VA number is available everywhere you look. Well, just about anywhere you can look. It's out there. So if we have the what I want to say, the effort and the uh, reliance on people that when they see this thing happening, please, please, please get a hold of your medical people, get a hold of the VA, anywhere to stop the progression of someone taking their own life.
Can I jump in for a minute? I want to talk about this from a nonpartisan perspective because I believe that there's politicians on, both sides of the aisle, any party that hears of dying vets on home turf. This is serving and coming home in our backyard. This number is happening. What can we do to better educate our legislators and lawmakers? Because one is too many, but 26 a day, where exactly is the problem? Is this what are the issues that lead to the suicide? Is this a bottleneck issue? Is this a bureaucratic issue? Like, I want all of the details. I want to know, are they conducting audits so that the number goes down? It doesn't keep increasing.
Well, the VA and the Congress, many of the congressmen that we speak to and senators are well aware that veteran deaths are way higher than anybody else. The Congress has tried to address this in various fashions. The VA, we have urged the VA to have open meetings where they can educate people about what to look for and what to do, who to call, where to call. All that kind of information is very valuable to the general public if they're aware of it. But I think the basis here is that most people do not think about veterans' deaths, and because it's not prominent in their mindset. They just don't think about it. But veterans are very, very cognizant of it, obviously. But we have urged Congress to educate, and they have put up programs to educate people about what to look for in suicide. But it's not enough, because we need to make the general public aware that this happens every single day.
Yeah.
And it's not just not veterans. There are suicides out there from the civilian side that should never happen either. But from the veteran side, we've often talked about the inner demon. And we've seen it so many times in PTSD. We've seen it in veterans who have been in combat and come back. It's something that's in their head, and it never goes away. I asked Vietnam veterans, when were you there? Many of them say yesterday. And the reason they're saying yesterday is because it's never left their head. It's never left their brain. And as long as that is present, they have to learn to live with it. They either live with it or they don't. And unfortunately, there's too many people, veterans, that today are turning to suicide to end what they think is and it's a trauma to them.
Right.
And it's a difficult thing to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that's why the VA has so many classes and group therapy,
Right.
to talk and to get these guys to come down from where they are sometimes. It sounds crazy, I know, but it's absolutely true.
It is. It's just such a tragic state of affairs, and I just pray that we can continue taking a bite out of the bear, continue somehow improving education, pounding on those legislators, all that stuff. Before we're going to start eventually wrapping the show here, but I want to touch base on one subject. You mentioned it earlier in your monologue. We had, of course, wonderful Judge Dominic Yezzo on a full show the other day. I've admired one part of his whole body of work, but he worked really closely. I want you to comment on this with the Veteran Treatment Court.
Yes.
This is personal to me, because what this is veterans that were in trouble, generally with violent crime, etc., that were scheduled to go to jail for, in some cases, pretty serious offenses, assault and stuff, that there's basically an intervention to under, again, the premise of drug court, where they get, if I off of memory, 18-month diversion, where if they enter a diversion program, and that they are able to, quote, stay out of jail.
Yes.
This is a huge issue to me personally, because a lot of people don't know this. My wife just learned this. The first year I did in college in Montreal, I did college for a year on police technology. It's called police technology, which is basically law enforcement. And I did a year of that. And the biggest issue, and I'm going back to the 70s here, the biggest issue at the time was recidivism.
Yep.
Recidivism, where if you arrest a kid, that in some cases, if they just got a slap on the wrist, they would not go back to jail. However, if you jailed those same kids and put them into the system, the recidivism rate of them going back was like 80%.
Yep.
And the key to me, this is personal to my heart. That's when Dominic Yezzo broke out how much work and how much effort you guys have made, including with the success rate. Because the key is, how can you intervene? How can you stop that cycle before they get into the system? Please, just your comments and stuff. I so appreciate your time here on a Saturday, but give me some comments here, if you would, and how you and or VVA has been involved with that Veteran Drug Court, Treatment Court.
Well, VVA has been involved in the incarcerated veteran for years. We have actually had a committee of incarcerated people, or I should say people who are interested in incarcerated veterans. Dominic being one of high nature, because he was a former judge. He was aware of veterans courts. I can tell you that I was involved with veterans courts and the Veterans Committee, the Committee for the Justice of Veterans going into the system. We have had successes in, well, I use Ohio as an example. We had at one time, when I was state council president, we had about 15 incarcerated chapters. And one of the things that struck me when I was at one of the institutions was there was an individual who, he was the president of the incarcerated chapter, got up in front of the folks and said, I want you to know that this is my 35th year of incarceration. And I about choked when I heard that, because I had outside, I had a family, gotten married, raised kids, went to school, all that kind of stuff. And this poor man sat inside. I asked him, afterwards, I said, it's none of my business. You don't have to say anything, but I said, I'm interested as to why you've been here all this time. He said, well, frankly, he said, I killed a cop. And he said, I was on drugs, I was high, I was on booze. And he said, I had no idea what I was doing. He said, I was arrested and sent to prison for life. There were many Vietnam veterans that went into the system years ago, and most of them were incarcerated for much longer than they should have been. But that was the system back in those days. The incarcerated committee that Dominic heads is very forceful and is very active in the community and where he lives. The program of incarceration and the help that we've given them actually started in Buffalo, New York, and the Judge Russell was. I actually went to Buffalo and trained under Judge Russell to be a mentor for people who had been arrested but had not been sent to prison yet. The judges are very strict about how these guys get into this program, and they go through I think it's 18 months or 2 years of detox, learning how to work, learning how to get back into society. Many of them that I found in my time were on drugs. Most of them were alcoholics, and most of them had no hope because they had nowhere to go. When we initially came back, and in the years ensuing, they didn't even know what TBI was. They didn't know what PTSD was. There was no word for it. But there was many of our fellas that got into trouble with the law because of being on drugs and being alcoholics. And I've always said that if for the grace of God, go I. And I believe that because I've seen so many of our folks, Vietnam vets, that have gone to prison. And now at this time, a lot of them have gotten out. But it's something that Dominic believes in and our organization believes in. And we keep, to this day, we still have chapters in various states that we work with. And we work with the chapter presidents, and in the prison, the warden is the guy who reacts to all this. We ask to have meetings inside the prison. I actually had a state council meeting inside a prison 2 or 3 times during my tenure as a state council president. But on the national level, we continue to keep this alive because we think it's so important. And we have also looked at, since a lot of the Vietnam guys are now out of prison, but we now have Iraq, Afghanistan, Gulf War that are replacing the Vietnam guys. And we continue to educate, we continue to try and make sure that the guys that actually are in the system are not forgotten.
I'm so pleased that these types of programs are being worked on as solutions, diversions. These were really big in years gone by with they were called diversion programs, especially for DUIs.
Yes.
It's a Saturday here. I want to let you get to your day here, Tom. Imagine that. Need you to let you get to your honey-do list here today. It's gonna be warm back there, right? High 70s.
Yes.
Today.
For the first time this year, we hit 70.
What I will say.
3 weeks ago, it was 27.
Oh, there you go. And what I will say too is this: as we said to Dominic, there's so much to cover. There's just a plethora of new issues that we can talk about, or diving into the current issues. This will definitely be a rain check. I would love to have you back, Tom Burke, back on the show for.
I would be more than happy to come back. There's one thing I want to leave you with.
Sure.
I have, as you know, with our current activities going on in the military, with the war in Iran, I think people need to remember, and I say this because I've experienced it. I think recently I wrote a letter or a press release saying that the Vietnam Veterans of America reaffirms our unwavering commitment to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, their families, and the Gold Star families of our fallen from every generation of every service, including those currently on their missions in Iran. We are Americans. We are veterans, and we will stand with those who watch for this country. As a Vietnam veteran, we know what it means to come home to a divided country. We are determined. We are determined that never again will any generation abandon another. It is our sacred oath. Our troops deserve our respect. They deserve our support, and they deserve our unity, and they do not deserve political division. And God bless our troops that are fighting today.
Salutes to them every day, and they are doing missions, throwing themselves in harm's way as we speak.
Yes.
So salutes to our incredible men and women in the United States military, those in battle and those supporting them. Thanks so much. Val Olson, I'm going to turn the mic to you. If you have any kind of closing comments or what have you, do you want to relay to Tom, whatever, and then I'll have you excuse him so he can get back to important stuff back there in the beautiful weather he's got back there. Go ahead, Val.
Well, it's been an honor to have you on the show today, National President of the VVA, Tom Burke, and I'm thrilled that he'll be coming back. I'm going to do just a recap because there was so much that was touched on today. So if you're just joining now, please go back to the beginning of the show because important stuff, a top priority being the MIA and the KIA, missing in action or killed in action, and the recovery. That is a top priority. We went over that this is nonpartisan. It feels like yesterday, and we have work that continues in that area, in that arena, over 1,500 that need to come home. So that is a top priority, as well as putting forward a budget on the recovery efforts at $250 million. And quite honestly, I don't know how you put a price tag on that. How do you put a price tag on the cost of not having answers and not having recovery? That's just not an option in today's climate, I believe. So that is a top issue happening right now. You can go on to the vva.org where there are many programs. We're talking about the suicide crisis within our veteran community, and that number reaching over 20 deaths a day. So I look at this from a standpoint of we start with reducing that number by one, and we must have action. We must have accountability. And I am non-negotiable on that front because that number can go down. And when it goes up, there's names of where the issues are. So we need to name names, find the solutions. And when these deaths amongst our veterans are happening at home, so they're serving their country, they're coming home, and this is happening, we need to do better. And we will do better. We will do better through programs. We can create the correct programs because we have excellent representation within our government. So it's just about getting people to the table and all of us getting an education. And personally, I think it's an honor to have an education on how to save a life, whether it's a veteran or an American. That's what we do. So I'm encouraging you to go back to the beginning of the show. And thanks again, Tom Burke, for joining us today. I'm going to let you go, but give you one last chance just to say anything if you have any closing thoughts, Tom.
Well, I appreciate so much you having me on and the time that you've given me. I hope I've represented my group in a very good fashion. And to all the veterans out there, every day is Veterans Day, and don't forget that. We have a group of veterans now in battle that we need to respect, and we need to remain good allegiance to them. When they come home, don't forget that they have been in battle, and they need understanding, and they need their families to help them through the re-entry into civilian life. And I appreciate all of you out there that have sat and listened to this poor old man. And I hope that you have learned something through this discussion. But thank you so much for having me.
Couldn't have said it better. Wow. So I'm going to do some housekeeping again. That's National VVA President Tom Burke, and you can go back and this is an historical episode today. So much discussed. The Veteran Channel is featured on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Greg Meekin's YouTube and Facebook pages, and dozens of other platforms. Continue Mission has been produced by veterans for veterans, and we are actively recruiting on the Veteran Channel. Your mission starts now.
Welcome to Continue Mission Radio with Captain James McCormick. By veterans, for veterans. Guest hosts tonight are author Greg Meekin and Miss Val, our military radio gal. Continue Mission starts now.